In this episode of the How to Get on Reality TV podcast, we answer the question, how do you know when your video is done? And we also break down another viewer's audition story. Welcome to the How to Get on Reality TV podcast with Dan Giesling, where I answer your reality TV casting questions once a week. Hey everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the How to Get on Reality TV podcast. So I hope everyone had a great Christmas and a happy holiday. I hope you got everything you wanted and enjoyed your time off with friends and family. And we have another great question this week from another audience member who wants to know, how do you know when your audition video is done? Before we get into that question, I'll remind you guys about the email list that is completely free for you guys to sign up. Every week after the podcast is released, I send out a personal email to those on the list with an additional tip. So in this podcast, we're going to talk about how you know when your video is done. And then I'm going to give you guys some tips in the podcast as always. I always take it one step further for those of you guys that sign up for the email list and include one tip that you won't hear on the podcast. You can check out and sign up for the free email list at howtogetonrealitytv.net/list. You can sign up right there. It's really easy. It's free. I don't spam you, I promise. So you can check that out by going to howtogetonrealitytv.net/list. So let's go ahead and jump into this week's question from Matt, which is all about understanding when your video is done.
What's up, Dan? This is Matthew Crawford, and I'm coming to ask you today, how do you know whenever your video is truly completed? Like, how do you quit nitpicking on yourself and just ready to say, all right, you know what, my shtick is good enough, let's go ahead and submit it. Right now, I'm saying I'm a social worker. I investigate cases of child abuse and neglect. That's my real job. I'm saying that I'm ultra conservative, and I'm throwing out a couple of different one-liners about how, if Bernie Sanders were to get elected, then I'm moving to Soviet Russia. I'm throwing out that I'm engaged, so there won't be any kind of showmances, and I'm throwing out that I'm an awkward nerd who also works in social services, so it's kind of unique that I have to deal with people every single day, but yet I don't have that strong social skills. I hope everything's great. I'm enjoying what you're doing with the podcast, and I hope to hear back from you soon. Thanks, Dan.
Hey, Matt, thanks so much for asking the question through the website. I love when people submit questions because you guys drive the show. And Matt, first and foremost, I want to thank you for submitting this question. And we're not going to dilly-dally. We're going to jump right into the answer to your questions. How do you know when your audition video is done? And really, it's two things. It's never really done, and two, you're never really going to understand that anyways. Especially if you're applying for a show for the first time. You're just taking a shot in the dark. But it sounds like you've been listening to the podcast, you've been reading up on the website to help put yourself in a position to be more successful. The truth is, you're never going to feel like the video is perfect, and that's okay. Your video is never going to be perfect. That shouldn't be the goal of your video. When you're creating your audition video, the goal should be, can this capture the attention of the person on the other end that matters, the person that's going to put you into the next round, or the person that's going to hand it off to the decision maker. Because more often than not, the people watching your audition video isn't essentially the decision maker. It's someone that's filtering through the audition videos to say, hey, this one's interesting. So that should be the goal of your audition videos, not for it to be perfect, but just to you get it to the point when you're like, okay, is this interesting enough? Is this unique enough? Is my story unique enough to say, hey, this person stands out from hundreds of submissions or thousands of submissions, or people that are similar to me? Is this stand out enough? So that when you're watching your audition video, that's what you need to understand. And that's a little bit difficult, especially if you're applying for the first time, because you haven't seen other people's audition videos. You don't really know what you're up against. But I would encourage you guys, as always, this is something I talked about the email list earlier. I sent this, I remember sending this tip out a few weeks ago about, hey, go look at your competition, go on YouTube. Some people who are unaware of what you're not supposed to do actually post their audition videos on YouTube. Go Google some for the show that you're trying to apply for, and you can see what you're up against. Not necessarily from a head-to-head standpoint, but for understanding what's really unique in an audition video. So the more practice you have at something, the more exposure you have to something like auditioning for reality TV, the better you're going to be. So there's really no correct answer. The best thing you can do is understand your character as much as possible and give yourself the best possible shot by making a highly energetic video. And I kind of want to break down a few things. Is, the first thing is that you're never ready. The second thing is just be prepared, right? Don't just turn on the audition video and say go and wing it, because more often than not, that's not going to be a successful audition video in terms of catching the attention. There's very few people that can turn on a webcam or turn on a camera and just lights out be dynamite on it, and that's okay, because it takes a while to get used to that. The third thing is that really know your character. So develop your story, understand what's unique about you, and that's where I'm going to push back a little bit, Matthew, and I'm going to break down your story a little bit. Here's the points that you mentioned that stand out. You're a social worker, you're ultra conservative, you're engaged, you're an awkward nerd, and you have very poor social skills. Okay, those are all things that are very, very common and very, very average across the board. And I'm not saying this to discourage you. I'm saying this for you to go back to the drawing board. If that was the gist of your audition video, it's really not that unique. Here's what you need to do when you're watching back your audition video. Is someone else doing this? Is there another social worker out there? Yeah, there probably is. That's not a great selling point. Are there other socially awkward people out there? Yeah, probably more than you can imagine. Are there other people that are engaged that are applying for the same shows as you? Yep, there definitely are. So all those things you'd list in your audition video, and I don't know because I haven't seen it, just going off your breakdown, none of it's really that unique. And that's okay. As long as you understand that, you say, okay, Dan, I understand that. So how do I make it unique? How do I understand what's unique about me? And this is one of my favorite tips to give people, is to go back and create a list of things that you may not tell everyone, that you may be like embarrassed about, that you may hide. And I call it the weird list. Things that you really like, things that you're passionate about, you don't share with everyone, because chances are you don't share it with everyone because you may not be a trusting person and you may think it's kind of weird. We only share, more often than not, the first things we share with people are things that we think we have in common with other people. And when you're creating an audition video, you want to be anything but common. So Matthew, go back to the drawing board, create a list of the things that you find really unique about yourself, things that you hide from other people, things that you think are weird about yourself, that you're uncomfortable sharing with, say the average random person, or that maybe a person you work with. That's where you need to start. And then that becomes more of a selling point or more of a unique proposition in your audition video. So Matthew, please go back to the drawing board. Hopefully you didn't submit that audition video, because that'll help. Everything you listed, and this is good for everyone to hear. When you're creating your audition video and you're going through the main story points to your character, ask yourself, are there other people who are like this? And if you can imagine that person, then chances are it's not unique enough to build your story and character around. So Matthew, I hope this helps, and I hope this helped out other people who may be like, I'm thinking about my audition video, I'm talking as you guys. There isn't really anything unique about it. So that's okay, but you can make it unique with just a little more insight and a little more thought behind it. So that being said, thank you, Matthew, so much for submitting your question. As a small thank you, we're going to send you a free digital copy of my story, How a Normal Guy Got Cast on Reality TV. And if you want your question and your audition video broken down in front of everyone else on the podcast, go to howtogetonrealitytv.net/ask, and you can submit your question right through the voicemail app. It's really easy. It's really painless. And if you want, I always encourage people to use a different name. Because if you're worried about your identity, and if you're paranoid about that sort of thing, just use a different name, and we'll answer the story, or we'll answer your question just as if we didn't know you were using an alias. But Matthew, thank you so much, and I hope this helped answer your question. All right, so that wraps up the post-holiday episode of the How to Get on Reality TV podcast. I want to thank you guys and also encourage you guys with this time off. A lot of people have time off work or time off school. Use this time to create your character. Take a few hours and really plan out what you're supposed to do, and then go shoot your video. There's never an ideal time to sit down and do that, but when you have time off, that's when you need to take advantage of it. Don't wait, because I know there's a lot of casting deadlines coming up, and you got time off to do that now. And if you're looking to find out one more tip on how to make your audition video one more step unique than what we heard in the podcast, make sure to join the email list at howtogetonrealitytv.net/list. It's free to sign up. It's really easy to access. And trust me, I never will send you anything that doesn't have a lot of value. So you can sign up at howtogetonrealitytv.net/list. And I hope that helps you guys out. And I will see you guys next Monday. Later.